Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it, How Can You Go Wrong When Surrendered to Peace? It's very interesting because when we surrender, finally, when we're ready to just simply be, it seems as though all this resistance comes up. And the tendency is to think is when I surrender myself to truth, my life, everything goes to hell, so to speak, and everything falls apart, and my life is falling apart, and I'm supposed to feel better, and I am not feeling any better or so. But here's what's happened. Surrendering to peace is simply being. You see, what happens is that when we are actually doing without realizing is surrendering to the mind. In other words, feelings, sensations, all of that seems to happen, but when you're surrendered to this, in total acceptance of what is, there is no conflict. The conflict only happens when we are surrendered, which is not surrender actually, to the mind. We believe that we're surrendering to peace because we come up with an expectation. When I surrender to peace, my life is going to look in a particular way. It's going to feel in a particular way. It's going to be in a particular way. And that is the mind throwing, hooks, so to speak, which is the big trap when we find ourselves pursuing either enlightenment or something like that. Because there's a preconceived idea of what that should look like. And if it doesn't look like that, then I find myself experiencing the frustration. But all that is happening is that the present moment experience is not being accepted as is being judged. By what? By the mind, by the thoughts. Right now, in spite of how your life may be, I'm going to invite you to surrender completely to what is. Right now. Total surrender to what is. You don't want to change anything. You're not trying to change. You just leave everything just as is. Okay? Without expectations, how I wish my life was, how things should be, or whatever. Just simply being right now. Just being. No expectations, no ideas of how things should be. Just being. And tell me if you experience any conflict. See, the answer is obvious. There's no conflict. All that there is being. Even when thoughts may be appearing, and even when thoughts that may suggest that they're in opposition to other thought, which by the way, there's only one thought at a time anyhow. You're just watching a thought appearing and disappearing. A thought that says A, B, C and disappears. And then you see a thought appearing D, E, F and disappears. But you see, all you're seeing is the content of the mind appearing and disappearing, but you remain as you are. And that is the surrender that we're pointing to. The issue is that when there's an identification with this seeming me, the surrender is not an unconditional surrender. It's a conditional surrender. I surrender my life to God, to truth, to peace, whatever you want to call it, in order so that things go in a particular way or I get what I want. But you see, we haven't questioned who's that one things to go in a particular way or to get what he or she wants. What we're pointing here is to what is, which is always. Right now, notice that life is. And it's not me asking you, the person, to notice, but that's the limitation of language, and I'm doing the best I can to see pointing to what is. Right now, notice what is. See? Notice what's happening. See, life is happening. Seeing is happening. Hearing is happening. Perception is happening. Sensations are happening. It's a constant, it's a being. It's not something that happens, it's what is happening. And that's life. Life is a happening. You see? But actually, that's not the accurate word, because life is. You see, it's not even a happening. It's just that that's the word that came through in that moment. Life is, and you are life. And the only thing that seems to be an obstacle to that, seems to be, I didn't say it is, it seems to be, is a thought believed in. You see? Beginning with the thought me. You see, I am having this experience. No. All that there is experiencing, just being. And you are being always. And in being, notice how it all unfolds. And even though it seems that it's unfolding through the seeming you, it's just unfolding. You see, the mind says that you are hearing this information, that you are watching this video. That's how the mind interprets it. But in reality, hearing is happening, watching is happening just by itself, not by anyone, but just by itself. You're not choosing to see, you're not choosing to hear. That's happening with or without your consent. Prior to even being conscious of being hearing or anything, just because actually what you are is. See, prior to you person being conscious is what I mean. Because the only way you can be conscious of something is if consciousness was there. Without consciousness, no one can be conscious of anything. Without life, nobody could talk about it. You cannot talk about anything unless life is the one already there. You see? And you are that life. Always. Right now, just put it to the test. Are you not being? A sense of aliveness is not happening right now? Well, that's life. But it's colored by the narrative, the concepts, the thoughts. You see? And a true surrender, that's what we're pointing to here, is the peace in which you're resting always. So how can you go wrong? When it's a true surrender in a truer sense, you cannot go wrong. You're at peace. But the mind concepts of surrender, meaning surrendering to another thought or another idea. I surrender that life is going to be like, no, that's the mind somehow pretending to surrender, when in reality is trying to keep some sort of control. But in reality, it's very simple. This is it. Is it not? I'm not asking you to believe me. No. I will never ask you to do so. I'm pointing so you can notice. This is it. Is it not? So then what's wrong with this moment, or what's right with this moment, unless there is a thought that is translating it? Right now. Tell me what problem you think you have. And all you're going to find out is this present moment experience, unaltered, unchanged, perfect as it is. But when you go to the mind, to the thought, then you relate, oh, the problem that I have is that blah, blah, blah. But if that thought was not believed in, tell me again, what's the problem you have? You see? And that's how you notice that all the problem is in the mind. And now the thing is that we cannot leave this on the surface. That's very important. When I ask you, for example, what problems could you possibly have, you have to go to the mind. But we need to go a little bit, we need to take a step backward. There's no backward or forward, but I don't know what language to use or how to express it. The step backward is, who is the one who's thinking that problem? Who is the one that claims that that thought that suggests there's a problem belongs to? Who's that one? That's the one we need to investigate. This is where the mind cannot go. You see? The pointer is not the destination. You are the destination. And I'm using pointer to point to what is. If you're sleeping and you're dreaming, you are already in bed. You don't have to go back to bed. In the dream, however, we can use pointers, and the pointer would be, don't believe anything you're perceiving. Don't believe anything that is being perceived. Don't believe anything, just be. That's the only pointer that can be used, so that hopefully the mind stop putting the attention on the dream and come to the recognition that I am. You see? But the I am is not something that the figure in the dream is going to understand. The I am is the undoing of the figure in the dream. So right now, we're pointing to something that you as a person cannot understand, not even be able to experience. And yet we're pointing to the experience itself that has nothing to do with a person. Right now, experiencing has nothing to do with you. It simply is. And you seems to appear in it. It's not something that is happening to you. And the way we point to this is right now, if you don't believe any thoughts, what remains? Don't answer, I'm just simply pointing. What remains is what is. Call it life, call it essence, but it doesn't matter, it's what is. And what's wrong or what's right with what is, unless there's a thought that is coloring it. What is right now is that this is happening. What's happening? Or I have an issue, or there's a problem, or this. All these are thoughts that seems to be appearing in what? And the mind goes, in me. No. They're just appearances. They appear in the nothingness that where it came from, and they will dissolve in the nothingness where they seems to have appeared from. But yet, I remain. See? I remain as I am. You are. See, you remain as you are. This is where this is pointing to. Nothing else. This is not complicated. It's very obvious. It's very simple. And yet, look how it's been overlooked. Because the mind is trying to get it. Oh, I understand it. No, you don't understand anything. There's no one to understand anything. It's just being. That's why this is not something we need to talk about. The pointer is one thing. Then once you see what the pointer is pointing to, just notice where is it pointing to and then remain there. See, the signpost is not the destination. The signposts right now are the words. But the destination is what you are. And it's not a destination in the future, it's what is happening right now. Right now, you are being. You can never not be. The problem is that you're believing you're being someone. And the moment you believe that thought, every other thought is going to have something to attach to, or someone to attach to. The moment I believe I am this person, then comes everything else. I am pretty, ugly, successful, unsuccessful, tall, short, deserving, non-deserving, and the world is separate from me, and everything is happening to me, and I have to earn my way through this, and I have to struggle, and I have to. All of that is only because there's an identification with the thought me, and consequently, now all thoughts, seeming problems or whatever, pleasure, it doesn't matter. All that seems to has to do with me, and that's what I say. These are my thoughts, these are my feelings, these are my sensations. Rather than thoughts appear, sensations appear, feelings appear, perception appear, or seems to appear in what? They seems to appear in what I am, not in me. There's no me. All that there is what is. And if you're willing to do the investigation, you'll notice that this is so. Right now. Right now. This is it. With your eyes open or with your eyes closed, this is it. It's not that when your eyes closed, this is it, and then when your eyes are open, this is not. No, it always is. There's nothing I need to do in order to be. Being is happening in spite of whatever I seems to be doing, or doing seems to be happening. It doesn't matter. Right now, this is it. This is it. This is all that there is. And this is not theory. This is a fact within the context in which we seems to be appearing in. The fact is, I am. That's just what it is. That's what is. Whether you want to believe it or not, or accept it, this has nothing to do with belief. This is the fact that I am. You are. Right now you are being. You cannot not be. Try not to be. Come on, give it a shot. Now that beingness, just don't identify with any thoughts about it. I am being this, I am being that, I am feeling this. No, just be. Right now, you're being right now. This is it. But if I am being, how am I going to solve my issues? That's a thought. See, we're going back to the same thing. To the sameness. You see? We're so used to identify with the mind that we cannot conceive the possibility that we can live like this. And yet we are living like this, only that is being distorted by the distraction of the mind. You see? Actually cannot be distorted, but I don't know, it just basically overlooked. You're always in bed when you're sleeping, no matter what, even if in the dream it appears that you're somewhere else. You see? So here all we're doing is remembering that this is it. As life unfolds. And yes, this is paradoxical, because it's not a choice that you make, it's a choice that life makes through you. Well, if life is making the choice of you watching this information, then let's take as if you have the power to not identify with the content of the mind, and that's it. Let's not make an issue about it, because the mind can run in circles here. But if I cannot make that choice, then how can I just make the choice when the mind is doing it for me? Well, the mind through you is making the choice of you listening to this information, so that's fine. Act as if you can actually make that choice. And right now, we're going to put that to the test. Right now, I'm going to invite you not to believe the next thought that appears in your mind. That's an invitation. Notice it, don't suppress it, don't try to block it, because that's how you feed it. I'm simply saying, right now, as you're resting in beingness, notice the thoughts that appear, and notice if you actually have the opportunity to not believe it. You see, it appears as if though you had that choice. Well, that's fine. Let's not get caught into any of that. And there'll be times when the thoughts will appear, and it appears as if though you find yourself caught in it. It happens to me too, no big deal. But now there's like a thermostat that can be aware of that and can always go back again to the room temperature. You see? Before we run hot or run hot or cold according to the intensity of the thoughts. Now the thoughts may appear, but somehow within you there's a thermostat now, which is the peace that we're pointing to. And that is the peace that we're always referring to. And when that is the real when that peace is chosen, meaning that when peace of mind is the most important thing for you, when you stop believing the content of the mind, how can you go wrong? You can never go wrong. And the invitation here is to rest in this, to rest in peace. In other words, to rest in what you are. Another way of saying it, just to be what you are, which you have always been. You can never not be. Now it's just being recognized. As long as there seems to be things that we want, desires and expectations, well, this may seem to be impossible. Because when the carrot is thrown, we're going to buy it. But when none of that is no longer important, doesn't mean that desires may not come up, and doesn't mean that you cannot do things in life. It just simply implies that you can see through all of it. See the difference? So you're not going to be living a boring experience in which you do nothing. No, doing is going to happen anyway. The thing is that now you can see through the veil of the doing rather than thinking that the doing is important. Nothing is important. In the dream, nothing is important. The only thing that matters is to know what or who you are. See? Once that is seen, once you know, once that is known, not by you, but it's the capacity of knowingness, which is beingness, once that is known, you experience what is referred to as the peace that surpasses all understanding. And when that peace is established in you, what could possibly go wrong? Nothing. Because nothing is actually wrong. Nisargadatta Maharaj used to say that there's nothing wrong. Unless the mind translates it and suggests that it is so. If the mind does not translate it into anything, it just simply is. And you rest as you are. And well, this is inspiration that came through. I hope it served. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can become evident.